Hello and welcome to Todd Miller TV, joined here today with Oana, and we are going to talk about presenting an offer in person to the seller. Okay, so here's the scenario. Some agents have taken it upon themselves to believe that their offer is not getting presented, so they want to ensure it gets presented. So what they're doing is they're calling the listing agent saying, I want to present it in person in front of the seller. We're going to talk about the advantages from your experience and the disadvantages. So what are some of the advantages of presenting an offer in person?
Okay, so if I'm presenting a buyer and I want to present my offer in person, my advantages are that I get to gauge all kinds of things from the seller, from, if nothing else, from their body language as I'm presenting the offer.
Okay.
So it gives me an advantage when I'm negotiating that offer. I also get to find out what is important to that seller, because it may not just be money, it may be other things. So I get to find out what's truly important and basically be able to negotiate that with them right then and there. I've had it to where I've actually had my buyers waiting out in the car out front. We negotiate a counteroffer from the seller. I run out the car, get it signed, come back in, and we've got a deal. So that works out really well.
Okay.
You know, when I'm representing a seller, the opposite is true. I don't want my seller to have that offer presented by the buyer's agent in person, because they are revealing important negotiation points to that buyer's agent, and they may not get the best deal.
Okay.
The other thing is, buyer's agents can be aggressive, can be intimidating, and then my seller ends up agreeing to something that maybe they would not have otherwise agreed to, just to get this person out of their home.
What are some disadvantages that would be for the buyer? If the agent said, I'm going to go present it in person, what would be a disadvantage?
You know, a disadvantage would be that, you know, what if that seller simply does not like that buyer's agent? Now it becomes personal. So if they don't like me, all of a sudden my buyer doesn't get the house,
Okay.
just because they don't like me.
Okay. What about if there's the buyer, the seller isn't available for a couple days or is out of town, and the agent's emailed over a bunch of offers or called them on the phone, and then they're said, well, I've got this one, but you're going to have to wait 2 days.
Right.
Do you think maybe they'll accept one of the other ones?
Right. So now what happens is, you know, a lot of times my sellers are out of town. You know, they're simply not local.
Okay.
So, you know, in that case, obviously you can't present the offer in person, or my sellers are local, but they're simply very busy, and we're not going to be meeting in person to go over the offers. I will go ahead and email them the offers, and we'll go over them on the phone. So if a buyer's agent says, look, listing agent, I'm not sending you my offer, the only way I want my offer presented is in person, well, you know what, then that offer may not even get looked at, because that seller is unavailable to meet. You know, they, for whatever reason, they're busy, and so the listing agent is just presenting everything over the phone or via email, and that's the way the decisions are being made.
So do you think it's also possible if an agent tells another agent, I have an offer, but I'm not going to show it to you, I need to present it in person, and then they never ever send it in? I mean, do you think it's possible they really don't have an offer and they're just looking to somehow meet your seller to figure out who they are, or steal the listing from that agent? Or, I mean, would you have doubt if an agent said, I've got an offer, but I'm not going to show it to you? I mean, what would you tell your seller? They won't show me the offer, they're saying they only show it in person?
Right. You know, that would make me very uncomfortable, because as a listing agent, I've obviously had buyer's agents present offers to my sellers, but I've always requested the offers up front. I want that offer up front because I want to make sure I understand the offer and have time to prepare, so that when that buyer's agent comes and presents that offer to my seller, I can be right there and speak intelligently regarding that offer, rather than having to go through it and figure out what's going on in there. It also gives me time to verify things such as their pre-approval letter, to contact their lender and make sure that, you know, what's the difference between pre-approval and pre-qual and that sort of thing. So, you know, has credit been pulled? Do they have pay stubs? How far along in the loan process are they? So I want to know all that before we actually look at that offer, because those are legitimate questions that my seller is going to have from me. And if that agent is withholding that offer from me, saying, hey, I'm only going to show the offer to the seller, I'm not showing it to you, well, then that creates a problem, because now I cannot, as a listing agent, represent my seller well because I don't have all the information.
So you think, basically from what you've said, that there's an advantage to the buyer to have his agent presented in person, if it's possible. It might be a bank or somebody like that who's physically not around. That it's an advantage, and that sellers and agents representing sellers should be aware of this. What if the seller doesn't want to have it presented in person? Do they have to do anything special?
The seller does have to put that in writing.
Okay.
So it can be something simple, like, for example, the listing agent can actually put that in the listing agreement when they take the listing, or the seller can write simply a letter, very short, sweet, and to the point, that they do not want offers presented in person, that they want all offers to be presented through their listing agent.
Perfect. Good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so that I just wanted to sort of want to talk about that, presenting offers in person, and whether you could do it, and who it benefited, and what are the risks or some of the advantages and disadvantages. And I think you did a really good job of explaining them, having dealt with a lot of offers on properties.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so that is my update for today, and hope to see you on another video. Thank you.